Hello, welcome to Post Colonial Space. I'm Masood Raja, and as you can see, we are setting up our new home in Wheeling, West Virginia. And today I thought I should answer a question that was posed by someone under a video in comments, and that was a question about the distinction between metafiction and metanarratives. So both these concepts are related to postmodernism, right? And if you are curious about postmodernism, I do have a whole playlist on postmodernism, and then I also have a Udemy course on it, which you can check out. But coming to meta-narrative, which are also called grand narratives, right, by Lyotard in his famous work on postmodern fiction, meta-narratives are grand stories or structures of stories that kind of direct our way of thinking the world, our way of being in the world. So, for example, on a larger scale, all major religions have their meta-narratives. These are the narratives within which we live our lives, within which we practice our morality, live, die, marry, love, right? And our actions are governed by those meta-narratives because they are part of our belief system. On a technical level, in literary studies or in writing, a meta-narrative could also be how a story ought to be structured, right? So what is the grand narrative of a love story or a quest story? Those are the structures that will then govern how we will structure a story. So these are some thoughts that I have about meta-narratives and grand narratives, and the terms are used interchangeably. If you want to read now highly contested work, but when it came out, it was highly important. That was Lyotard's book on a report on the postmodernist condition, in which he declares that in postmodernity, pretty much all major grand narratives or meta-narratives have come to crisis and have been replaced by what he calls the petite narratives, and that part is highly debated, especially now when we are seeing resurgence of nationalist and religious grand and meta-narratives again. Metafiction, of course, I have a brief video on it, is also a term affiliated with postmodernism, but it's slightly more technical and maybe on a micro level. So metafictional part of any novel or short story is always the content within a short story that is not part of the fictional universe of that story. It's either the authorial voice or the narrator pointing to something historical, or even pointing to the work of fiction that you're reading as a work of fiction. Right? So that is the metafictional part of the story. Some examples, for example, if you have read Salman Rushdie's Shame, as you read the novel, then suddenly there are parts of the novel where we encounter these experiences by the narrator when he was in Karachi, when he was in Pakistan. These are personal narratives where they've got nothing to do with the plot of the novel. And so that would be called the metafictional part of the novel. Any other novel, I just taught Michelle Cliff's Bang, right, which is the story of a young woman coming of age, Claire Savage, right, our main character. But within that, the metafictional part of the story is where she gives us historical account of silenced histories of Jamaica, of the Maroons, right? All of that is the metafictional part of the novel because it is not part of the story and its plot, but it informs through historical accounts, through acts of historical recruitment. So this roughly, without having access to my notes, is my understanding of the distinction between meta-narratives or grand narratives and what constitutes metafiction in postmodernist fiction. That's all. I hope this answers the question. If not, Please let me know what you think, or if you have any suggestions, anything that you think I missed, please feel free to share that with me. Thank you so much, and I will now be back with something else of importance to you. Until then, stay safe, take care, and as always, from me to you, peace and love.